So, hey, Richard.
Matt, here we are in the sunny lands of Queensland.
We are.
In a coffee plantation.
We
which
are.
Is
We're actually
pretty damn
surrounded
fine.
by coffee plants. It's amazing.
No, it was very, very nice. We made sort of sudden and instant friends with the Tambourine Mountain Coffee Plantation, and they let us use their grounds.
Yes,
so
yes.
Very grateful.
So highly recommended if you're in southeast Queensland. Yeah.
Yes, they make great coffee.
But it just happens that this is our 10th anniversary of publishing our magazine.
Yes, and I have landed on the shores. I happen to be here, so we're together. But I'm a bit astonished that how much effort we've put in, but just that the persistence has ended up giving us 10 years. It's wonderful.
Well, it has been persistent, hasn't it? I mean, I remember when I first started, and 1st of April 2013, and we were doing a quarterly magazine then. It was called The Neuropsychotherapist. We didn't change to The Science of Psychotherapy for a while. And I don't know, I think it might have taken me 6 months to pull together the first issue.
Yep. Well, I was a distant sort of possibility wandering around. So I wasn't there in the first one, and it was sort of as you went into the next bits, and we started doing some sort of things to camera. We did some various things, and then I started writing pieces.
Yeah.
But 6 months, because it was 150, 160 pages.
Yeah, it was quite long. But fortunately, I got some big names.
You had some fabulous people. Dan Siegel was in there on the cover, and I mean, I was already associated with Dan at that stage myself. So vicariously, 6 degrees of separation, I was there. I mean, Jacques Panksepp, lots of wonderful, wonderful people.
I loved it when I did finally connect with you, and you were writing some pieces for the magazine, but I was also doing this weekly video report. I don't know how I found things to fill up a report for every week, but I got you to do some reporting too from Sydney.
But I not only did I do some from Sydney, and I would wander down into the local bushland and sort of have a natural thing. I sent a report from the Grand Canyon.
You did?
With sipping a glass of champagne and with a helicopter behind me. So that was fantastic. We were over in America for I think the Evolution of Psychotherapy conference. And so we took a stop in Las Vegas, as you do.
As you do, yeah.
But those were the days when it was a mix. We were. It wasn't a lot of people looking at the videos. They were really still reading. But gee, we've had a switch in the last 10 years.
Oh, things have changed so dramatically, haven't they? And I think the platform that we have now, it's such a testament to your managing, editing.
I'm taking it.
Yeah. It was certainly something that I started on my own, but I couldn't carry it through on my own. So I'm just so grateful that you came on board.
Well, actually, and as we're doing psychotherapy, and that's our process in the human behaviour, it was a grand example of a relationship developing itself in concert with its roles and with its natural tendencies. And it's a perfect example of any Harville Hendricks I'm sure would love, and Stan Tatkin would be able to give a lot of talks about that. But I went towards the magazine because writing is definitely one of my things. It's been in the family forever. Mum was a writer, my daughter's a writer, I'm a writer in between. And then you naturally went more towards the production, and particularly the film work and the live work and the artistic work. So I'd find the words, you'd find the pictures.
Yeah.
And we started to do this wonderful magazine monthly.
Yeah.
What maniacs. What is wrong with us?
And for those that aren't familiar with what it takes to pull together a magazine every month, it's a lot of work.
There is. There is.
And
authors authors, of course they send in wonderful, wonderful material.
Yeah.
But everything always needs a look through, or everything needs a little check in. I mean, I write stuff and I go back and I look and I think, oh God, look at all those mistakes I made. But we also have fostered a lot of new writers, and a lot of people coming into the space, writing their first articles.
Yeah.
And I remember with GAINS, the Global Association for Interpersonal Neurobiology Studies, which is where I knew Dan from, that Bonnie Badenoch and Deborah Pierce-McCall, they regulated and edited and mentored me in writing. So it's just this ongoing process.
Yeah, and of course, one of the great outcomes that we've had in recent years is the book that we've written together. Almost an unbelievable thing. COVID comes. I had the busiest tour in Europe ever. We actually had 2 tours in the year, and COVID came along, and depressing. I mean, really disappointing, really upsetting. And guess what? We get a call. You get a call. That's right.
And you get a call from Norton's.
Yeah, so special that Norton wanted this book from us. We had already pretty much had a lot of the material together over the last, it was then sort of 8 years or so of writing about this sort of material. So we kind of had it all in our heads. It was just a matter of getting it on paper, and I think we spent 12 months doing that.
It was a good 12 months of writing the basic structure of the book. And then, of course, we had about another 12 months of working with a fabulous editor at Norton, and with the advice and recommendations that we were getting, and it's come out. And then, of course, we had our wonderful friend John Arden, who said yes, and he just brought out Mind Brain Gene.
Yes, that's right.
And he was saying, yes, you guys, this is the thing. So he wrote an amazing forward.
Oh yes, it was. I had to read that a couple of times and pinch myself.
It was a chapter in itself, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he's endorsing what we've been writing. It's just
the
amazing.
21st century therapist, and this just brings me to one of the things. I mean, we had the neuropsychotherapist, and it was Lou Cozzolino who actually advised us. He said, look guys, it doesn't exist. There's neuroscience in psychotherapy, sure, but there's no sort of practice of neuropsychotherapy. You're barking up the wrong tree. And so we took his advice and some other things, and a few other people talking. Yep. And we wanted to change the name, and we thought but it's about knowledge. It's about the knowing of things, and so we called it the science of psychotherapy. Which just expanded it beyond just the brain, which was great. Which, of course, Dan Siegel was very encouraging as well, because we don't just have a skull-based brain; we have so much in the body.
Yeah.
And broadly, I think it's absolutely right. But we've still had not negative, but not positive feedback from using the word science.
That's right.
It's a bugbear. And you've been taking some of these and sort of getting back to them.
And I think it's a fundamental misunderstanding of what we mean when we say science.
Well, the word itself has sort of got split, hasn't it?
Yes. And as you say, this is more about exploring and discovering, rather than, I don't know, applying the scientific method in some sort of the way we do it now is reductionist. Reductionist.
Reducing down to the simplest, and we know this in research. And I must admit, I'm finding now, as I engage with a lot of people, that there's more and more conversation about actually research has got a lot of problems, particularly in psychotherapy and psychology. That we actually can't reduce it down to this measurable, repeatable frame, because the human being just isn't cooperative.
Now look, if I was to choose an alternative to the science of psychotherapy, it would be something like the amazing discovery of
the wonders,
the wonders,
the wonders and marvels of
the curiosity of, there's so many other descriptive words that we could use. Which is basically getting at the same thing. We want to know how things work, the way they work, but not in this reductionistic way.
Well, here's something that's very important I want to mention for in the sense of the magazine, is that what you're just starting to hint on is really we're talking about left hemisphere focus.
Right.
detailed structure, and of course what we're also wanting to talk about is the right hemisphere principle, essence, concept, framework.
Yeah.
And one of the best things that we've got in the magazine is your series of looking at Ian McGilchrist's book, The
Matter with Things.
The Matter with Things. And we've been going through, and just one of the things that came out of it that I grabbed onto was when you showed through what Ian said, but then you're making it a lot easier to engage with. The left hemispheric work, that detail, that function, is abstract.
Yes.
It's more abstract and not specific because it isn't attached to anything.
Yes.
I thought, yes, that's right. I actually get grounded in my curiosity and imagination and conceptual frameworks, and then I get detailed. So the detail is in that section, and that was great. That's a great insight. And where are we now? Where I think we're on the 11th or the 12th installment of your sections.
I've really enjoyed doing those summaries of Ian McGilchrist's work, and I think the essence of it is that left and right hemispheres are, working together, absolutely necessary. McGilchrist's thesis is that we are leaning more to the left hemisphere rather than the right hemisphere being the master, as he says.
On a whole cultural level.
And for us in the science of psychotherapy, we're fundamentally coming from that right hemispheric view, that holistic, approach, which is contextualized, and yes, there might be times when we need to detail something and it becomes a little decontextualized, and we use categories and that sort of thing, but then it all comes back into the right hemisphere view where we put it all in context, because we are all in context and we're all in relationship and we're moving through time, and all of these right hemispheric perspectives, which is so important for the psychotherapist. So,
and that was the important thing, I think, in the book. And Deborah Mullenwood, who wonderful executive editor of the book, encouraged us, and we saw the sense in that. And it was, as we go through, sure, there's details. I mean, when you're talking about the brain parts, there's brain parts, and they have names and they've got positions and structures and so on and so forth. But there's a beautiful box of in practice of how we do this. So with this knowledge, we have a better understanding of the person we're sitting next to.
Yeah.
And that's the secret of it.
Yeah.
Your best friend is someone you know really well. I use this slightly silly analogy, but I think it's kind of relevant, where you go to a party with your best friend, and they bring a mate along. Oh, fantastic! Nice to meet you. And you go there. Now you know your friend, and you know their telltale signs when they're getting a bit bored. When the party's and they feel like going. And so your friend starts to do a few of those, and so you wander over and you say, "You want to go?" They go, "Oh yeah, well picked up." And then you see sort of some similar signs coming from the person you've met. So you wander over and you say, "Oh, do you want to leave now?" And they look at you and they go, "What are you talking about? I don't want to leave. I'm having a great time. I'm just starting to do things. I don't want to leave. I don't even know you. What are you talking about?" And it's like that sometimes when we sit with a client. We don't know them. But the more we have an understanding of the way what is within them is potentially functioning, we have the capacity to get to know them so much more quickly than just looking at their behaviours.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, love the book, love the whole experience of doing the book, but what I'm loving even more now is doing these documentaries that we've been doing.
Oh yeah.
And especially the last one that we've just finished, and it's been out for a few weeks now, on loss and grief. I think approaching a topic in this documentary style, it's been fun for me, and I trust it's been fun for you.
No, for me it's been glorious.
It's been very engaging for those that are following us.
Yeah.
And I trust that it's a really engaging and fun way to do some study and to get some insight.
But I think we've done something really interesting in as much as we can in the documentaries.
Right.
Is we've used the expert opinions and knowledge and all that we get from them, and the lived experience as well. I mean, certainly we did that in a major way in the schizophrenia documentary, where we had a group of people, men and women, who were living with schizophrenia, and we were also talking to the brains, the brainy people, but the university and the academic experts doing that.
Yeah.
And what's extraordinary in the grief documentary is that the three experts were the three lived experience people. So they each had their own different form of very intense grief experience. Yeah. And then they were relating it to knowledge and how to practice. And they give us practices. And they give us practices that not only worked for others, but worked for them. And certainly as the writer and narrator, I just trying to pull this together and bringing this all in together from the words, the commonalities, and they present these themes. In each of the documentaries, they become obvious and apparent. And it's a wondrous place where you can spend an hour. But of course, the point of it, what we're doing, you can spend an hour watching the documentary and learn heaps and heaps. But when you're a member, obviously, you can go in, look at the documentary, and all the full speeches, the full ones that I've worked with and I saw. Yeah. And so you can go in and extract not only the stuff and recognise that, but all the other stuff that might be pertinent for you.
Yeah, and I think that's very important. I mean, the documentary is, it's a great overview, but you really glean a lot of really cool information when you delve into the full length interviews that we did. So very excited. We've got a whole lot more on our slate ready to go this year.
Yep, we're working on those. I know we've got addictions as one of our things, and some wonderful people that we've developed. And but the other thing that I know there's something in there, but what it prompts me to realise, of course, we're after a period of time for membership, we actually release the documentary, just the 45-minute documentary, onto our YouTube channel.
Yep.
And we also create various shorts, so you can go in and see bits and pieces. But our YouTube channel, Matt, goodness gracious me, I don't know when we're going to have the 10th anniversary. We've had, a couple of years now?
Yeah, we've only really sort of been doing YouTube seriously for about a year, I think. And in the last couple months, just things are really shot up. So I tell you, we should have paid more attention to YouTube years ago, but here we are.
But even though we talk about it as a lot more visual, we've several times we've done a straw poll of the audience. What are the things you like? And we put in the magazine, we put in the YouTube, now we'll put in YouTube, and we put in various things, and the magazine comes up top every time.
Yeah.
Everybody really wants to have that resource available. So we'll keep doing it.
Absolutely. So, looking forward to celebrating 20 years in 10 years' time to come.
I've put the down payment on the wheelchair.
Look, as long as you can stay upright, you'll be fine.
Well, Ernie Rossi, my wonderful and magnificent mentor, he was writing a paper 6 weeks before he passed.
Wow.
And then he just couldn't finish it. And I'd love to finish it, but he's so clever. I have to spend another 10 years learning. But that was when he was 86.
Yeah.
So, amazing.
That is the thing about this field. This is not the sort of field where you have to sort of down the tools. At any age, really. You just keep going.
Yeah, everyone talks about retiring. Retiring from what? This? This is amazing. We published something from just a little while ago, a case study for Ruben Bettino. I think he's 88, 89.
Yep.
I could be wrong. He could be 90 now. But Ruben is just a wonderful inspiration, and he works with has his sort of version of the mirroring hands process that I use, because he's known Ernie for not longer than me. So lots of these amazing people.
Yeah. Well, look, I wanted to just thank everybody that's been tracking with us for all of this time. Just thank you everybody for, being with us on this journey. It's been an exciting journey, and just looking forward to more and better.
And we are going to be still here, you and I. Please come join us. Please send your articles so that you can express yourself. If you're a fabulous writer, then away you go. If you're not such a fabulous writer, we're here to help. We're here to help you grow, because we've had lots of people who've done exactly that and are now doing marvelous material all around the world. And we're very, very proud, and I'm very, very pleased to know so many fascinating people around the world now.
Well, I'm so glad that we could catch up on your way back to Sydney.
Yep.
And I guess I'll catch you next podcast.
It will be, and I'll get back home and I'll start working on the next magazine.
Okay. Thanks everybody for joining us here on The Science of Psychotherapy.
Bye for now. That's what we say.